Hello everyone. We are continuing with quadratic equations here. I've already gone through the basic concepts in my previous video, whose link is given in the description below. In all the problems discussed here, we will make use of the shortcut methods. All the questions we discussed here are taken from previous year's quantitative aptitude of Banks and Staff Selection Commission. The pattern of questions asked in the bank exams is as follows. You will be given two quadratic equations like this, and you will be asked to compare the solutions of these quadratic equations. For example, the choices are given like this: x greater than y, x greater than or equal to y, x less than y, x less than or equal to y, and the last option, no relationship is established between x and y. Here x stands for the two roots of the first quadratic equation and y stands for the roots of the second quadratic equation. So the first step is to solve each of the quadratic equations and get the values of x and y and then do this comparison. So to solve the first equation, what do? In the first step, you take the product of the constant term 2 and the coefficient of x squared, that is 3 and 2, equal 6. And take the coefficient of the middle term x, which is 7. In fact, that is plus 7. Then in the next step, you are factorizing this number into two numbers such that the sum of those two numbers should equal 7. See, this is a small number, so you can easily find out those numbers. You write it as 1 multiplied by 6, and this 7 is 1 plus 6. Whereas if you take the next factorization, 3 multiplied by 2, these numbers 3 and 2 will not result in 7 as their sum. 3 plus 2 not equal to 7. Whereas if it is 1 and 6, you can see 1 plus x also equaling 7. So the numbers are 1 and 6. This is the first step. Then you will see here both are plus 1 plus 1 and plus 6. In the next step, you will change the sign plus into minus and minus into plus. Since both are plus, both will be negative now. That is the second step. Then you divide each of them by the coefficient of x squared, which is 3 in this case. So here it will be 3, here it will be 3. That is minus 1 over 3, and the next one is minus 6 divided by 3 is minus 2. And these are the two roots of the first quadratic equation. 3x squared plus 7x plus 2 equals 0. So these are the values of x. Now take the second one. You take the product of the coefficient of y squared, which is 2, and the constant term, 28, equals 56. In the next step, what do? We will split this or factorize this 56 into two numbers. There are many ways you can do this factorization. 1 into 56, then 2 into 28, 4 into 14, 8 into 7. These are the different ways you can factorize 56 into product of two numbers, out of which we will choose this one, 8 and 7, because the coefficient of the middle term is 15. 15 you can write as 8 plus 7. And that is the reason we choose this one. If you choose any of these other three factorizations, their sum will not be equal to the coefficient of the middle term. So the numbers are 8 and 7. In the next step, what do? Change the signs. Both are plus, so both will be minus. And in the third step, you divide these numbers by the coefficient of the y squared term, which is 2 in this case. And these are the two solutions. And you can write it as minus 4 minus 7 over 2. Now the next part is the comparison. You take the first value of x, which is minus 1 over 3, and take the first value of y, minus 4. Which one is bigger? This one is bigger. See, negative numbers, the bigger the magnitude, the smaller the value. Using that, minus 1 over 3 greater than minus 4. And what about minus 7 over 2? In magnitude wise, this is bigger, so this would be smaller than minus 1 by 3. That means minus 1 by 3 bigger than both the values of y. Now take the other one, minus 2. Second value of x. The first value of y is minus 4. If you compare them, obviously this is bigger. Again, if you take minus 7 over 2, that also is, see, 7 over 2 is bigger than 2 magnitude wise. So the number as a whole will be smaller. Rather, minus 2 will be greater than minus 7 over 2. So what do you observe finally? Both the values of x are individually bigger than both the values of y. So you can conclude x greater than y, which is the first option given in the problem. Let's look at the next example. If you're not so clear about all the steps done in this problem, hopefully you will get it clear in the next example. The second example is this: x squared plus 12x plus 32 equals 0. Y squared minus 15y plus 36 equals 0. So what do you do in the first step? Write the product of the coefficient of x squared, which is 1, then 32. You can just write the constant term at 32. You will split this into two numbers. See, the 32 is a small number and 12 is the other number. So you can easily see that if you factorize 32 into 8 and 4, sum of these two will be what? 12. And 12 is the coefficient of the middle term. So the numbers are what? 8 and 4. And what is the next step? You will change the sign. That means minus 8, minus 4. And the third step, divide these two numbers by the coefficient of x squared, which is 1. So you don't need to go to the next step. These are the final roots of the first quadratic equation. And we will call them x equals minus 8 and minus 4. Now take the second equation. Again, 1 multiplied by 36, that is 36. There are different ways you can factorize. I'll write all the factorizations. Okay, this is enough. There is one more actually, I'm leaving it. Now look at these two numbers, 3 and 12. I will write it like this, minus 3, minus 12. The reason is the coefficient of the middle term is negative. Now, if you take minus 15, that's equal to minus 3 plus minus 12. Minus 3 plus minus 12. And minus 3 multiplied by minus 12 is again 36. So the numbers are minus 3 and minus 12. And what did I say in the next step? Change the signs. So you get 3 and 12. And the coefficient of y square is 1. So you don't need to divide. Final solutions of the second quadratic equation is 3 and 12. And these are the x values, these are the y values. You can see that both the values are negative here. And here both the values are positive. What does that indicate? X is always less than y. If you refer back to the question, that is the third option. Now there is a method which is even shorter than the one given here. For that, you need to know something else related to the quadratic equation and their solutions. So we know that the general form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a, b, c are the coefficients and they can be negative or positive. Equation solution. If b is positive and c is also positive in the given equation, then both the roots will be negative. Again, if the value of b, that is the coefficient of x, is negative and the constant term is positive, then both the roots will be positive. If b is positive and c is negative, then the roots will be minus and plus. Again, if both b and c are negative, then the roots will be plus and minus. If you memorize this, the previous problem, you can do it in just seconds. You don't need to go to the factorization of the product of the constant and the coefficient of x square or y square. I'll show you the other method. The method is this. Let me rewrite the given equation. The equations were x squared plus 12x plus 32 equals 0 and y square minus 15y plus 36 equals 0. Look at the first equation, plus and plus. That means plus and plus. That implies what? Both the roots will be negative and negative. Now take the next equation, minus plus, that is this. If it is minus plus, both the roots will be plus plus. So you don't need to waste your time finding the exact solutions of the equation. You know that both the roots are negative in the first case and both the roots are positive in the second case. In that case, x is going to be always smaller than y. This is the other method. This is a very particular case. Only in such cases, this sort of comparison works. Otherwise, it does not. To illustrate this point, let me show you one more example. Look at this pair of quadratic equations. X squared plus 54x plus 693 equals 0. Y squared minus 46y plus 520 equals 0. Look at this plus and plus. So both the roots will be minus. Minus plus. Both the roots will be negative. Clearly, the first root, that is x, always less than the second root, y. You can easily conclude without having to solve the equations independently and getting the roots or the solutions. Even though there is a shortcut like this, these are big numbers. So let me show you the application of the previous method we have already discussed in this particular problem. I'll solve the first equation. Constant term 693 and the other one is 1. So let me write just 693. After that, to find out the numbers into which this number can be factorized, you divide it like this. That's a better one. You go with the smallest number, 231, 77, 11. In the next step, what we do is you pair these factors in such a way that sum of those two numbers should turn out to be 54. For that, what you can do is combine like this and combine like this. See, 3 multiplied by 11, 33. And 3 multiplied by 7, 21. Now look at 54, which is the coefficient of the middle term x, that is 33 plus 21. So this is the way to find out the factorization of this number, so that sum of those two numbers also should turn out to be equal to the coefficient of the middle term, that is x. After that, to get the roots, what do? Write 33 and 21. Say both are plus, so you put minus 33, minus 21. Then in the last step, you divide these numbers by the coefficient of x squared, which is not really needed because the coefficient is 1. So you will get the same number. And these are the values of x. See, both are negative. This is what I said. If you want, I'll show you the other one also. The solution of the second quadratic equation. See, when the numbers are big, it's not that easy to get the numbers into which this can be factored that fast. So we will do this method. For big numbers, this is the method to be adopted. You write 520 divided by 5, you get 104, 52 to 26 to 30. So we got 5 factors. These factors are to be adjusted in such a way that sum of those two numbers should turn out to be 46. You take these three together, what do you have? 5 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2, 20. Then combine these two, 2 multiplied by 13, 26. Now take 46, that's minus 46. So if you take the sum of these two, that won't be equal to minus 46. So what do you do in that case? You can write minus 20 multiplied by minus 26. That will be plus 520. And sum of these two, minus 46. So these are the numbers. Minus 20, minus 26. It's not over. We've written just the numbers. In the next step, you need to change the signs. That means minus becomes plus, minus becomes plus. So 20, 26. Again, there is one more step, which is division of these numbers by the coefficient of y square, which is not needed because the coefficient is 1. So these are the final roots or solutions of the second quadratic equation. Look at both the numbers. They are both plus. That's what I've written here. Let's move to the next problem. The equations are 7x squared minus 37x plus 10 equals 0. The second one, 7y squared minus 19y minus 6 equals 0. Look at the first equation. So what is the first step? Write the product of these two, 7 and 10. That is 70. Now write it like this, 2 multiplied by 35. There are other ways of factorizing 70 into two numbers, but we go for this because see 2 plus 35 is 37, but 37 has negative sign. So this I will write like this: minus 2 multiplied by minus 35. So that minus 37 equals minus 2 plus minus 35. So the numbers are minus 2 and minus 35. Minus 2 minus 35. What is the next step? You change these minus signs into plus signs. What is the third step? Divide each of them by the coefficient of x squared, which is 7. So x is equal to 2 over 7 and this one is 5. Now take the next equation. Like we did, multiply these two, 7 and minus 6, which is minus 42. See, minus 42, divide it like this, 21, 3, 7, 21 and 2. 21 minus 2 is 19. Let me write it like this. Minus 21 plus 2. We'll be getting minus 42. And minus 19, which is the middle term, equals minus 21 plus 2. So the numbers are minus 21 and plus 2. Second step, what is the second step? Change these signs. Minus becomes plus and plus becomes minus. What is the third step? Divide each of these numbers by the coefficient of y square, which is 7. So that's equal to this on simplification 3. The other one minus 2 over 7. So x is 2 over 7, 5. Y 3 and minus 2 over 7. You take the first value of x, 2 over 7. That is greater than, that is less than 3. But 2 by 7 being a positive number greater than minus 2 over 7. So 2 over 7 when compared to the first value of 5, smaller. Whereas when compared to the second value, bigger. You don't need to waste time comparing the other two because when you take one value of x, it can be both bigger and smaller, which implies what? No relationship can be established between the values of x and y. And if you refer back to the question, the choice will be the last one, E. We'll do the next one. So the equations are 2x squared minus 25x plus 72 equals 0. 2y squared minus 13y plus 20 equals 0. So take the first one, multiply 2 by 72. We have 144. Now how do you split 144? Let me do it separately to find how to factorize, so that their sum should be minus 25. 272, 236, 18, 2, 9, 3, 3. So these are the factors. Now you need to combine them and write 144 as product of two numbers. So how do you go about that? See, if you take the first four factors, you will be getting 16. If you take the second two, you will be getting 9, 3 multiple. So you will write 16 multiplied by 9. But 16 plus 9 is plus 25. We should get minus 25. So what do? You will write this as minus 16 minus 9. So that minus 25 will be equal to minus 16 plus minus 9. So the numbers are minus 16 and minus 9. So x is equal to, you write first minus 16 minus 9. Then change the signs into, in this case, plus. Because originally minus, both of them are minus, so both of them plus. Now what is the next step? You will be dividing these two by the coefficient of x squared, which is 2. So this equals, this is 8. This is just 9 over 2. These are the solutions of the first quadratic equation. Now similarly, you take the product of 2 and 20, which is 40. See, how do you split 40 so that you should get 13? Yeah, you will split it like this. 8 multiplied by 5. But 8 plus 5 is not minus 30, it is plus 13. So what do? You will put a minus sign for both. Now this product is 40, and at the same time minus 13 equals minus 8 plus minus 5. So you write those numbers here, minus 8 and minus 5. In the next step, you will change minus into plus, plus into minus and minus into plus. Here both are minus, so both will change into plus. And what is the last step? You divide each of them by the coefficient of y squared, which is 2. So these are the final solutions. So to summarize the whole thing, you will be writing the numbers you get by splitting it like this, then change the signs, plus into minus and minus into plus, then divide each of the numbers by the coefficient of the first term, that is the square term. Okay, so these are the final values. So the first one is 4 and the second one is 5 over 2. So these are the y values and these are the x values. Now you can see that if you take each one, if 8 is bigger than both of them, 9 over 2 is also bigger than both of them. So you have x greater than y, which is the first option, A. So use these shortcuts in all the quadratic equations problem. You don't go for the correct factorization of the quadratic polynomial into linear polynomials to find out the solutions. That is the traditional longer approach. But in a competitive exam, as you know, time is a big constraint. So you follow these shortcuts and try to answer it in the least possible time. If there is any particular quadratic equations problem you're unable to solve yourself, give it in the comment section. I will certainly give you the solution. And if you found this video useful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.